Okay, this video covers the back side of the Sketching Basics 2 worksheet. So I picked up exactly where I left off. So all of your little degrees of freedom, or your constraints glyphs are showing. All these constraints do is tell Inventor how the sketch is constrained. So you have to keep that in mind. The goal is to have a fully constrained sketch when you're done, meaning that nothing can move. And the reason that's important is more so than it not being able to move, it really means that Inventor knows exactly what the sketch should look like. Nothing is left undone. So the thing I want to point out right now is it says 4 dimensions needed. That means there are 4 things still unconstrained. I'm going to turn off all these little constraints glyphs. So I'm going to right click and say hide all constraints, or you can hit F9. And I want to show you something called degrees of freedom. So just like in your science classes, you might have learned of these. The degrees of freedom tell you what is allowed to move, as opposed to the constraints, which show you what is allowed to, or what is fixed and not allowed to move. So basically, you can see these red arrows show you what each sketch feature can do. So it shows you that this line can move up and down. So if I grab that line, sure enough, it can move up and down. Same thing, this one shows you that this line can move left and right. And this rounded arrow shows you that this line, the angle can change. All right, so what we're going to do next is actually using dimensions to fully constrain the sketch. So now rather than the geometric constraints, which show you the shape changes, we're going to actually add dimensions, which are the number dimensions. So I want you to come up here and click on dimension and pick the 2 lines. And so this basically tells you the distance between those 2 lines. This is a confusing part. You have to give a 3rd click here to place the dimension down. It's like telling Inventor where on the paper or the sketch you want the number to live. So I'm going to just click that down, and now that that window is open, you can type in 45 millimeters. Okay. Now, if you want to, I'm going to hit escape to get out of the dimension tool. If you want to change this, all you have to do is double click on that number, and this box pops up again, and you can type in 50 millimeters. Okay, so we have this 50 dimension defined. Now I want you to notice this is down to 3. So every time you add a number dimension, this should drop. So I'm going to click dimension again. And dimension, actually, let me say one thing. If your sketch looks really wrong or things look wrong, you can grab this line and move it to make it look a little bit closer to what it should look like. All right, so now I want you to click this dimension tool and click the 2 lines that will give you this dimension. So again, you have to click this down. And instead of typing a number here, what I instead want to do is I'm going to click this dimension. And right now what that says is that this dimension is equal to that dimension. But that's not actually what I want. I want to say that this dimension is half of the other. So sometimes in a sketch, you actually want some formula. So this is like adding in a mathematical formula. And you can hit enter, hit the green check box. And now you see that this is a function or an equation, and it's half of that. So you can see it automatically went to half of that. You can imagine now if I change this, that will change. And now you can see we're down to 2 dimensions. The other thing I want you to notice is the color of all these lines, as they are becoming more and more constrained, the color changes from the green to the purple. Okay. Last thing I want you to do is dimension this angle. I'm going to click dimension, and to dimension an angle, you always have to pick the 2 lines because an angle is defined by 2 lines, not points. So you need to click this line and this vertical line, and now you can see you have an angle dimension. Again, just like before, you have to click to place it down, and this is going to be 108 degrees. And we are almost constrained. You can see we only have 1 dimension needed. If you don't understand what dimensions needed, sometimes the easiest thing is to grab the line that has the red degrees of freedom and move it around. And you can see that the length of this upper line and this line are not defined yet. Instead of adding a number dimension, though, we're going to add another geometric constraint, which means we're going to define the shape of the part instead of the numeric, the numbers of the part. So up here on this is your shapes constraints or your geometric constraints. I'm going to click on this one, which says equal. And basically, whatever 2 things I click next will become equal. So I'm going to click this line and this line. And now all of a sudden, those 2 lines are equal. You can see it by the glyphs that are there. And now our sketch is fully purple, no green. You can also see that it's fully constrained because it says fully constrained down here. You want to hit escape to get out of that the constraint tool, and now you can say finish sketch because you are done with this sketch for now.